Ladies and gentlemen, shall we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, Kathy, can I get a roll call, please?
Sabin is absent. Bartleson. Here. Deskin.
Here.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Malogly.
Here.
McDonald.
Here.
You are Mayor Pro Tem. Pugh.
Present.
And King.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Bill Carroll is on his way here, so we can hang on a few minutes for the invocation. I just wanted to take, this is my first time at this, so Sonny and Ben did a great job of giving me cheat sheets, so hopefully we can get through this, and the next time won't be as hard. So, again, it's a great opportunity to serve the people of Lockport. It's a great opportunity to work with all these folks here and folks over there. So I'm just very thankful that I'm here to serve you. So thank you. All right. Does anybody have any liaison reports while we're waiting for?
I just have a brief one, just a reminder that it is time to start submitting your pictures of your garden, your decoration of your home during the spring and summer season. We will be going until July 31st. And then after that, in August, we'll be recognizing the people that have submitted their homes. And please submit so that way we can recognize you at one of our city meetings, and we look forward to it. I just wanted to, aside of that, I do want to make mention, I had a couple calls from some seniors that had asked if we could, and I'm guilty of this, is to speak into the phone because they cannot hear. And I'm guilty of sometimes just talking without, turning on the mic. But yes, they asked if we could please keep that in mind. Okay.
Okay, so I'll go next. This is for Bloom Lockport, and Saturday at 9 a.m. we are having a grand opening. We have a garden on Route 66. It's beautiful, and it is our very first garden, and hopefully we can develop it more and have more to come. Thank you. So Saturday, 9 a.m.
Did you do all the flowers around 166 sign, or was that the city?
No, that was the city and us.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sorry. Okay. I asked her if that group did all the flowers around the Route 66 sign on State Street, and she said,
We did not plant them, but the city subcontracted to, I forgot their name, some landscaper. That's all I can say. And they did a wonderful, wonderful job.
they did do a nice job. As you can tell, I'm trying to. How about this side of the table?
You want to go? Do you have anything?
You go ahead. I've got one small.
I'm just winging mine. I would like to do a shout out to the Public Works Department. They are very proud of this moment. They have now joined the fire department as those groups that now rescue cats out of trees. So, actually, the fire department turned down the lady. They would not go after the cat, but our Public Works Department stepped up and went and rescued her cat after, I think the cat was up there for about a whole weekend. Yeah. And, but we finally went and did the rescue. So shout out to the Public Works Department. Please do not call them for cats, though. They have a very busy job that they do every day. We don't want this to become a regular event, but they can do it when needed. Thanks.
Your first modus operandi on that is to put a can of food at the bottom of the tree, and they usually come down within a day. But if they don't, we'll come.
Once they eat, though, don't they go right back up?
Yeah. I know the mayor wanted me to say something about on June 22nd, and along with some of those other events with the Bloom Garden. There's the Wings and the Alley Arts going on, and there's a lot of events coming up that you can go to on Saturday. Fly a kite from 10 to 2. There's an outdoor art installation at 10 a.m. at the I&M Canal on 10th Street. So they got a lot of events that you can go visit too. They're on our website.
Yeah, like every half an hour there's something,
There's some-
all the way up and down State Street. That's great. Well, with the summer coming, and this is a police liaison thing, fireworks are not only dangerous, but they're illegal within the city limits. The police will be out trying to do their regular job, and so every call that we have for fireworks pulls our officers away from their regular job, which I guess you could say is also keeping people from blowing off fireworks, but they're inundated. July 3rd, Chief told me was especially heavy, but if we could refrain from that or just leave Lockport and go set them off, in another town. I agree. Yeah, we'd appreciate it.
Chief,
For
what's
everybody's dogs, for our veterans, for everybody that doesn't like them. People who like to sleep. So please be respectful of your neighbors.
what's the best way to handle it if there is someone setting off fireworks that just happens to be your neighbor? How do you handle it?
It's fine. We take anonymous calls as well. It just, we do get a lot of calls. So I think it comes down to just a little bit of patience, because they actually wait for us and look for us as we come down the street, and they stop doing what they're doing. We drive away, and we're getting more calls. So, in the amount of calls that we get, like I said, we're inundated with calls for service for that, but we respond to our other calls as well. But we do get a lot of calls, so I think we will show up for every call, but sometimes it will take a little bit longer because of the number of calls that we receive.
Come join the city fireworks at Delwood Park on July 3rd if you like fireworks.
There you go.
Yes, that's what I was.
July 3rd. Okay.
But don't bring your fireworks to Delwood on July 3rd. Let the professionals do it.
This is true.
Excuse me, Pat, would you mind, can I just circle back? Because I just found my email with my dates on them for beautification recognition. For the spring summer, it is May 29th until July 31st, with recognition here at City Hall on August 7th. And then we do have the fall and Halloween, that'll start in September to November, and then a December recognition, and then the winter holiday will be December 4th to January 3rd, with recognition on January 15th. Just a reminder, we have first, second, and third place that we actually give gift certificates for local business or restaurant. So please, get ready, submit, and we look forward to recognizing you. Thank you.
Got to play to win. Bill Carroll, you have the floor.
So sorry, friends. How you doing? Pray with me, please. Dear God, I pray for summer here in the city. Thank you for the blessings that continue to fall on our city, Lord. And I pray for the new families that will move in this summer. Lord, I pray for the celebrations that will happen this summer. I pray for the families that will be reunited this summer. Lord, I pray for our teams and our workers, our city workers who will be on the streets and the parks doing work this summer, Lord. And I just pray that this city becomes more and more a place known for great people and safety, an amazing police force, amazing fire force, Lord, and a city that is just committed towards the people that live here. Blessings in this city, and we thank you for your son, Jesus, who oversees all this, Lord, and brings peace to cities like ours. Thank you for this group. Thank you for this council. In your name, amen.
Amen. I've got one more public safety thing. With the weather being like it is, remember to take breaks if you're working outside. I think OSHA has a really good app for heat stress, identifying signs of heat stress, heat stroke, and how often you should be taking breaks when the temperature and humidity. I think it figures it all out for you based on where you are. So use the fancy tools that we all have available to us to stay safe when it's this hot.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, just one, go to the order. Just a reminder, we do not have a council meeting on July 3rd either. So enjoy your fireworks, enjoy your week off, and we won't reconvene again until, I think it's July 19th?
July 17th.
17th, thank you. So no meeting on July 3rd. If you come, You can come, but
I'll be at the Meter House at Delwood Park.
Good to know, Darren. Okay, we've got the liaison report, and there's no mayor report, there's nothing else, so Kathy, can I get or council, can I get a motion for, to have a consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved.
JR and
I second that.
Susan, all right. Susan gets her name in the books.
I didn't hear.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Yay.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay, okay. Hearing none. Okay. Following items are on the consent agenda. First thing is approve the regular city council meeting minutes from June 5th, 2024. Approve the committee of the whole meeting minutes from June 5th, 2024 as presented. Approve the payroll period as presented. Approve resolution number 24-75 IGA between the city of Lockport, Romeoville, and Will County Forest Preserve District for the I&M path cost sharing. Approve resolution number 24-67 for release of bond and initial acceptance of site improvements for FCA Realty. That's the Bentonhauser property. Approve resolution number 24-68 for the release of bond and initial acceptance for site improvements for Lot 9, Lockport Square. Approve resolution number 24-65 for a fire alarm and sprinkler system installation program grant for the property located at 948 North State Street in the amount of $20,000. That's the Montessori School up on State Street. Approve resolution number 24-62 authorizing the purchase of 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee not to exceed $30,000. And then approve resolution number 24-061 authorizing the disposal of 4 surplus vehicles. Can I get a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? Joanne?
I second that.
Christina?
Nope.
That was Susan King.
Another Susan, all right.
I was like,
Picking up really quickly. Good coaching over there, Jonathan.
That wasn't me, that was Darren.
Kathy, can I get a roll call?
You got it. Saban is absent. Bartleson.
Here?
Deskin.
Oh, yes, I mean,
Yes.
I got you. Kirkbauer.
yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
And King.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Okay, moving on to regular business action items. I've got CA1.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and the members of the City Council. This item is a pure house cleaning item in which the City Council already passed a 1% home rule sales tax. It turned out after review that the state IDOR, Illinois Department of Revenue, informed us that we needed a minor clarification. This is what this ordinance does. Ordinance 24-018 cleans out our current city code, eliminates outdated sections of our code, and then makes the 1% along with the non-home rule municipal tax that was already passed in 2010, combines it into a home rule tax. So it's just a house cleaning item, and the legal counsel for IDOR has already reviewed our ordinance, has okayed it, so we just need to get this passed, and we are requesting the ordinance to be approved tonight.
Any questions? Nope. Okay, can I get a motion to approve ordinance number 24-018?
So moved.
Do you have to put it on action?
This is
action,
on,
it's right now.
this is on City Council, yeah.
Second.
All right. Susan and Jonathan. Kathy, roll call, please.
Sorry, was that Jonathan or JR?
Jonathan, yeah.
Thank you. He's whispering over here. All right. Saban is absent. Bartleson.
yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
And King.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, Finance 1. Could I get a motion to approve bills through June 10th, 2024 as presented? just going off script here.
So moved.
Thank you, Darren. Everybody's helping out tonight.
I'll second that.
Christina. Kathy, roll call, please.
You got it. Saban is absent. Bartleson.
Yes?
Deskin.
Yes.
Burkhauer.
Yes.
Gallogley.
I abstain. City of Lockport is paying my employer for material for the Mary Knoll project.
McDonald.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
And King.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. CD1.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. CD1 is approving a resolution 24073 in regards to the city of Lockport filing a formal objection for rezoning for property in Will County, zoning case ZC, so that's Zebra Charlie, 24030. This is in regards to the four-way logistics. I did include in your packet a couple photos here, so you can see kind of what we're talking about. This is 355 just east on Archer Avenue. They're proposing quite a few, or a truck center that would service quite a few trucks. So we already have quite a few trucks that go through that intersection, over 2,800 trucks a day, according to IDOT. I did share with you all in an email, and it was also in your packet. The mayor had sent a letter. The county had asked us to take formal actions from the city's perspective with a resolution, and so that's what's before you this evening. I'm happy to try to answer some questions. This originally came from Lamont. Well, it's technically outside our boundary. Lamont is filing an objection. They've asked us to support them in their objection, and I believe Homer Glen is going to do it, but they have not done it yet.
Questions? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to approve resolution number 24-073? Oh,
So moved.
all
Second.
right, Susan's on it. It's a Susan show. Second?
Jonathan did.
Jonathan. Kathy, roll call, please.
You got it. Saban is absent. Bartleson.
Yes?
Deskin.
Yes.
Burkhauer.
Yes.
Gallogley.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
And King.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, PW1.
This is for the approval of resolution number 24-072, authorizing the approval for an intergovernmental agreement basically between Bonnie Bray Forest Manor Sanitary District and the city of Lockport to pay the cost difference between ductile iron pipe instead of PVC pipe. Bonnie Bray Sanitary District went out for a water main project. Basically, it came in at 2.5. They have funding from ARPA and from City Block. And basically, what they're doing is, we want ductile iron. We're required to maintain their system instead of a PVC. So what we want to do is just pay the cost difference, since they can't afford to actually put in the extra money for that. We'd rather do it since we have to maintain it, and our guys are the ones out there. We have all the parts, all the things to maintain ductile, not PVC, so we don't have to keep two different products on the shelf and everything.
Makes sense.
Okay. Questions? No? Okay, could I get a motion to approve resolution number 24-072?
So moved.
Christina?
I second it.
Joanna, rather. Kathy, roll call, please.
You got it. Saban is absent. Bartleson.
Yes?
Deskin.
Yes.
Burkhauer.
Yes.
Gallogley.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we have no public hearings tonight. Does anybody have any new business? Hearing none. I do not have any open floor comments, so having heard none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. That was quick. John and JR. Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Easy.
Ah, very good, Darren.
The motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
Yes. Thanks for the help, gang. Next time it'll be easier, less painful. I'm ready.
So Saban is absent. Bartleson.
Here?
Deskin. Here.
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 Present.
All righty. Number of items here. CD1.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. I'll take CD1, Lance is absent. This is the rezoning of lots 15A and portions of 13B at Lockport Square from C3 Highway to a transitional community commercial, which we call C-2T. This is located in the southwest corner of I-355 and 159th. This prior council approved a concept plan for residential in that portion of the commercial acreage. To ratify this request, Jim Puritan is here on behalf of Lockport Square LLC and has submitted the formal rezoning request for a portion of that property. Lockport Square was originally zoned C3 Highway Commercial. They're applying to take the 10.8 acres to be rezoned to C2T, and they'll have, thank you, we'll have Jim come up and go through these, but there'll be future single-family homes where we've got the townhomes product. He's going to speak to some live-work setup, which is a great opportunity where you can have small offices and things on the first floor and live upstairs, so a true live-work concept, especially for units that are closer to the commercial. This was heard by the Planning and Zoning Group in May at their meeting and was unanimously approved. And then there was a correction in the paperwork. Just wanted to point out that the lots to be rezoned are 15A and a portion of 13B. There was a typo in the planning and zoning memo, but we have it correct now. So, Jim, if you want to come up and go through a few slides here with us, I can give you this PowerPoint.
Thank you. Thank you. Tonight we're going to focus on the townhome portion of the concept plan you approved in February. It's outlined there in whatever color it is, gray. It was purple before, but it's the lower right-hand portion of it. See if I go the right way. Okay. This is the, before we get into zoning, I'll talk just quickly about the townhome layout. This was the layout in the concept plan that was approved. The big ideas here weren't exactly where the buildings should be, but it was basically the townhomes were inside out, garages in the rear, which is sort of atypical for a suburban setting. And then secondly, to go with that, the streets have some parking on them, parallel parking, to make them more of an urban neighborhood. That's sort of the big idea here. And then there's a green area where townhomes face each other as well as facing the street. Since that time, we've taken it a couple steps farther. This is an engineering drawing, so I apologize. It's not a marketing drawing like the other one was. But looking down in the red area, in the red oval, we eliminated the south-facing townhomes, which were one of the objections we heard. Our marketing people were okay with it, but we said, oh, well, this is a better way to do it. So we have them facing east and west, and so nobody's facing the industrial building just immediately to the south. The other major change that we did that we talked about at the staff level with the city is the townhomes facing each other in the green spaces, both on the east-west axis, but also on the north-south axis in the grouping on the right. We moved them farther apart. They were too close together. So now they're farther apart. So we lost a few townhomes in this readjustment, but this is where we are in terms of our planning. So we adjusted the layout, and we'll take this forward into the next step once we get the zoning approved. So we're here today to really talk about the rezoning to C2T, which was a different district than we talked about when we came to the concept plan, because you didn't have that district at that point in time. It's taken me a while to understand what it is and what the opportunities are, but we're really here today because this fits what we're trying to do better than the R3 zoning. C2 transitional, as you know, provides a wide range of commercial and residential uses, including vertical mixed use. You don't need anything special to get a vertical mixed use, which the R3 didn't really allow. Also, I'm told that R3 is really designed for the garages in front as opposed to the back, so this works better for this type of townhomes. More importantly, live-work townhomes are actually permitted and encouraged. It allows first floor commercial space. So you have a nice part of your ordinance where you do allow home occupation in residential districts. And this allows the homeowner to have certain kinds of office uses or small uses in their existing homes if they sign up for it. And that is allowed under a C2T as well as other residential zones. That goes a long way. As a guy who had a home office for a dozen years and did a consulting business out of it, and I had a real estate license, and part of my consulting required me to have an outside sign, my zoning in my area didn't really allow that so well. Your home occupancy does allow that. That can happen here as a matter of rote. C2T allows us to go a step further, though. And it's actually, I'll show you where I think it works the best on our site plan, but it's especially suitable for professional offices and personal services. The home occupation rules limit the uses, and I think there can be no outside staff people. So if you have 2 people in your business, I don't think you can do a home occupancy. You can do that under C2T. Exterior business signage is allowed and encouraged, and this setup that we have, or the design that we have for the layout, really allows clients and customers to park on the street in front and then walk in the door to the particular business or operation that they have. Let me give you an example. The diagram on the left is what was in the concept plan. That is literally the first floor, the garage are in the back. In the front, there's a den or office in the front, and powder room, and then access to upstairs and a front door. The right-hand side says we can go a step further and maybe make this a separate workspace and create a front door for it, a separate front door. And at some point, I'm told from our architects when we talked about it, who's done this in a number of places, at some point, that if it's commercial, you might have a separation for fire separations might be required, a handicap restroom might be required, and so on and so forth, which are not required in the home occupation rules. But anyway, this is what this could look like. It provides a neat opportunity. Here are some more kinds of designs that have been done in different places. This particular design that our architect did in South Carolina does not have any attached garages, but basically the 3 on the left show a basically first floor retail office of some kind with a handicapped bathroom, restroom, and separate entries for this retail space. The one on the right's kind of interesting. I don't know if it'll fit in ours or not, but they combined 2 townhome units into a larger unit and then made a larger retail space, which is also possible. So there are lots that we have just gotten into it. We just don't know exactly where we're going to go with it or what we're going to come back with. We'll need to have some conversations with city staff on when. I mean, clearly, home occupation, office, consulting. If I have no clients and no employees, I could use home occupation and put a sign out front. You can go one step further to have a little different kind of business, or a business that has more clients and customers. And that works great for professional offices and certain kinds of personal services, other kinds of operations. Maybe a realtor who doesn't work full-time anymore, something like that. Or one who does work full-time by oneself, or with a small operation. Anyway, these are the areas on the streets, the blue being closest to most accessible, where they're literally street parking and you can walk in. It looks gray here, but it was green. On the left and on the bottom are the other 2 areas where literally that could happen. So we're going to explore this and see what kind of, and do a little market study too to see what kind of demand there is, but we'll look at our options for making some of these maybe a separate retail space with a separate door. And again, any of these could work for home occupation. So someone who has a business and doesn't have a lot of clients, like I had no clients, you could be anywhere here and have that home occupation, sign outside and meet all the requirements of your state license and so forth. So that's what we think C2T is really exciting, and a step up from R3. So from what we can do for the property, and frankly, it's a great marketing edge. It's another reason you can live here, work in the first floor, and walk to some amenities. No other townhome development in Lockport and few elsewhere, you're able to do that.
Can I just ask a question before you go
Sure.
on? So I just want to get clarification here. So these units now are not going to be just townhomes. They're actually going to be more condos where you have the business section down on
They're
the,
going to be owner-occupied townhomes, so it's the owner that has the business. It's not a third-party business.
so, okay, so then you're searching for someone who wants to run a business while he is living above.
Yeah, you have a couple hundred square feet.
Are all the units like
Or
that?
she, Joanne,
Pardon?
or she. She could be living
Excuse me.
upstairs and running her business
Every-
downstairs,
Excuse
too.
me. Okay.
Yeah, typical townhome unit, I gotta go back to that slide. Typical townhome unit is like the one on the left. You've got a first floor space, undefined, that a lot of people use for den or office or game room for the kids or something like that. It's 10 by 12, 10 by 10, something like that. That you can use as your home office. And under your current rules, any townhome, I think under R3 as well, could have a home occupation. I don't know if it's a license or you need to sign up for it, but you could run your odd business out of there and have a sign outside. What the diagram on the right allows you to do is have a little more active business, more clients perhaps, and I looked at some of the home rule activities, and I'm home occupation, and it looks like you can't have any, sorry about that, can't have any employees. So,
So this is a totally different concept than what we were originally presented with. I mean, because we didn't have retail, not retail, but office.
professional office or.
This is a new option to the same layout, right? All these townhomes would be built. If there's market demand, many of them may have this option. What it's really doing is allowing a secondary door, potential signage. They'll make sure there's language in the HOA for those rights. So you could walk up to see Joanne Bartleson LLC, and you'd be able to have a more formal office than just one from your home. So this is something that Lance and Jim brought to me, and we discussed with the mayor, and the mayor was, I don't want to speak for him, but he was in full support of this. He thinks this is a good, unique thing that we could add. But
definitely is
again,
unique, yeah.
it's, if you have, I forget how many count, Jim, 130 or townhomes?
110.
110 total home, you're not gonna have 110 live-work scenarios, I don't think, but on those key corners and situations where the public can pull up on the road, park in front of the building, walk up and have a live-work opportunity, we've seen a lot of this start to happen during COVID and things, and they still here. And so we think this is a unique opportunity to have residential in this area, but also still allow some commercial in the same footprint. That's all we're doing. We're not like totally changing to it, but this allows this opportunity, because the other zoning would kind of preclude it.
Okay,
We're still doing townhomes.
right, I understand. I don't know, I think I need a little bit more clarification, to tell you the truth, because this is gonna totally look different than what originally was planned, and that's okay to modify it. And I know that, having retail or offices, below, kind of, but I didn't realize that the actual owners could occupy the whole downstairs and then their living area upstairs. It just seems a little different than what I've heard.
Am I correct in saying that it's going to look very similar to the townhome that's just a family occupying it? They're just putting a door on the front, perhaps.
Right.
It's not going to have, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that it's going to be a
It's not
big
gonna
glass
look,
window.
It's not gonna look commercial, no.
Right. It's not. It'll be like, let's say a beautician wanted to bring people into her house.
Yeah.
And the front of it would be securely locked off. There'd be a door. It'd look like the townhome right next to it because there's going to be no big giant glass door. I think, am I right? Do I
Yes,
understand
yeah,
this?
they were going to look like townhomes, right? There's
Yeah, we
gonna
don't
be
have
potentially-
enough detail
Yeah.
to say that it's not going to have a
At
front
this point, this is a
glass.
zoning question in regards to would we be willing to allow it? And we're saying it's a good idea, and I think it gives more options to it, but they are still being built as townhomes. Today, people could live and work out of their home today. This is just making it a little bit more marketable and a little bit more approachable from the street's perspective, especially near existing commercial. You could look at it almost as an entrepreneurial opportunity where they can come in, someone can live upstairs, run their office LLC downstairs. As their business grows, they could move to renting 2,000 square feet across the street and still be in the same area and still
How
live.
many units are in a building?
I think it's
Well,
4.
they vary from, there are 3 in some of the smaller buildings to 7 in the biggest ones.
Okay, so are they going to be designated on, like the smaller, where you only have 3 units versus?
No,
It's based on,
I
it's based on
think-
their exposure to the street.
To the streets, yeah.
So the parking, we're saying that people can park, there'll be designated the parking for.
No, not designated necessarily, because this is probably a low client, it's not a TJ Maxx where people coming in.
Right, right, but
High
if
level.
you have a business, you're gonna have people coming to pick up or whatever, the case may be.
So just, yeah, if I could just clarify, just for the record, the concept plan was for the residential, and the original idea would have been that the developer would come here with the R4 rezoning. So instead of doing the R4 multi-use townhome zoning, is C2T, which allows more flexibility of having the business work-life balance in one building. So the concept plan is still there. It's still what was originally, approved. And the final development plan will come in later on. But instead of coming in with the R4 rezoning that the concept plan already, that the city council already approved, it's a C2T that it allows the mixed use.
So right now, Jim, this is more of a concept plan based on the zoning change C2T. You're still exploring what it's ultimately going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, we literally got it in our head a couple weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, that C2T offers more opportunities than the residential zoning that we're talking about. Residential zoning, we couldn't do a separate unit on the first floor with its own front door. We can under C2T. I don't know how many people are going to want it. I'm not sure it's totally marketable. All I've said is it looks like the places for it are, kind of identified on this map. And we'll market it and maybe build some spec, I'm not sure. But it's an opportunity for someone who has a business from their home, personal services, professional office. There aren't travel agents these days, but, travel agent, insurance agent, consulting, personal services of various kinds.
That offers a very short commute time.
Yeah, this is really no different. Just take this concept and think of a house on State Street
That's it.
that's going to be repurposed over the next 10, 15, 20 years as the downtown evolves into what it's been evolving from just 10 years or so. I think this is a great idea. Are you going to come back with a preliminary, or are you going to preliminary and final sometime in the future, or what are your plans?
Once we
I
get-
know this is just zoning.
Yeah, once we
Getting a little
get
deeper than
entitlements, I think we're going to spend some of the time, a lot of it with staff on, we kind of got the layout. We're going to look at the design of the townhomes and then delve into the marketing to see whether this live-work concept beyond your home occupancy rules.
We're not requiring that each of the 110 units has something on below. Somebody could go ahead and purchase a corner unit and choose not to have a business.
Correct.
It's also that option. That's the beauty of the C2T
Right.
Right.
which we approved about 2, 3, 4 years ago.
But if it's marketed though as a possibility of having a business run out of that structure, truthfully, I gotta tell you, I'd like to see what it's gonna look like.
Well, that's.
We're gonna come back with final engineering. I mean, this will be an action item at the next meeting. I'm gonna send everybody an article, and I want everybody to read, and I'll include it in the next packet. It has some examples of some imagery that maybe to help you kind of visualize it. But you have to understand, this is gonna look like townhomes, right? There's nothing being proposed different other than an option to allow a few of those units to be used as commercial with a second door.
As someone who despises the thought of this commercial property being converted into residential property, this is the most palatable.
Yeah.
However, I want to know how many units are going to be sold as businesses. Like, I want that number. I want,
We won't know
or that
that
we say,
until
well,
we
let me
know.
finish what I'm saying, is on these areas that have been identified as higher, traffic or higher visibility, I want those to be the ones that have a separate area on
Do
the
you want
first.
to limit the number, or do you, I mean, we won't know because we don't.
I want to
know
limit
until they sell
I
it.
want to put a minimum
Well,
for
I-
that development.
oh,
Hold on,
okay.
I'm still going. And then I'd also like to know, if I buy one of these, let's say I have a business, I'm on the first floor, I outgrow it, I no longer need it anymore, can I have some other business run out of the first floor of my condo and collect rent off of that? Because that's business for me. Like, that's
The
that's
HOA
the
would probably
business part.
govern that, and I don't know.
Well,
anything
yeah,
about
and
that.
so I'm saying I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, and I still don't love it, I'm not in love with it, but it's way better than it was. I don't like townhouses in that
The issue
corner
at hand,
surrounded by
though,
C3.
The issue at hand is not what's going to be going in. The issue at hand right now is to rezone this. That's
Right.
what we're talking, rezoning. I know we all know what we all want those answers. They can't be answered right now.
Right.
Okay? All we're talking about right now is rezoning to C2T.
Yeah, but why rezone it to C2T if you're not going to do the commercial part of it? Like this is vague at
No,
best,
we
and it
can't.
does allow
But
for
we
the developer,
can.
but listen, it does allow for the developer to come in and say, yeah, nobody's interested in it, so I'm just building the townhouse,
Okay?
right?
Well, that's why there are provision in both the zoning and the Second Amendment to the annexation agreement that there's some assurance that what's presented as a final development plan has to be in conformance to what's been presented to the city council. So there's no switcheroo, where, the developer comes in and says that I'm going to build A, B, and C, and then they end up building, X, Y, Z. So there are mechanisms set in place that if the plan that gets submitted isn't substantially in conformance with what's been presented, then the zoning reverts back to the original underlining zoning, which is C3.
And is this vague enough that it allows them to meet the spirit of C2?
That's why it's there, that it has to be in conformance. It's flexible enough where it could be enforced, but it's flexible enough where the developer's not tied to a minimum number of these units, unless the city council wants to put that in the development plan itself.
Yeah, I think Jim is on board with the new zoning, and he's actually taking a liking to it, as indicated by here. The concept of this was more to create a commercial space around that kind of draws in the other commercial space in front of it. I'm sure Jim is going to look at this, and he's certainly not going to put commercial down in the lower right-hand corner, because, that, to me, would be a little strange, but.
We don't know that because we don't have any of those.
Right, like Ben
won't
said,
get it,
tonight's thing is changing the zoning from purely residential to adding this commercial component. And once we move that to an action item and it gets approved, then Jim will go away and explore more about utilizing the commercial aspects of C2.
Right now, I feel that we're putting the cart before the horse, and I'd like to see what it could possibly look like, and then decide whether or not, to change the zoning. You did say that things are in place, that it doesn't necessarily will end up that way, but if we vote tonight that.
We're not voting.
We're not voting
We're not
tonight.
voting, we're moving it to
Yeah.
consent.
We've got a whole month for
Yeah,
Jim
this,
to come
this is set
back.
for committee of the whole.
Yeah,
So the
Jim
final,
has a whole
yeah.
month to come back
Yeah.
and
July
work with
17th.
staff and to go ahead and answer a lot of these questions. We're not voting on this tonight. All we're just saying is are we gonna go ahead and put this on,
Consent,
not consent.
I'm sorry.
An action
An
item.
action item for
An
that.
action item for next time.
Ultimately,
I apologize, I thought we were,
ultimately, there's two questions, right? The city has already approved a concept plan for townhomes here, right? Jim could go to his final engineering and come back and do townhomes. What we're saying is, there's an option here to explore a little something more unique that will allow some additional transitional opportunities for commercial. How that actually comes together will come together once the zoning. Jim's not gonna spend $300,000 in engineering and layouts and how everything's gonna look and plan and do every guarantee. We can't guarantee occupancy and how these are gonna sell and everything else, without the zoning, right? So this opens the door. I think it might bring some people who weren't necessarily 100% on board for residential with the majority to get there. And again, when the mayor's here at the next month, I mean, he was in favor of this and likes the opportunity. There are things that need to be better defined as we go and come back with preliminary and final, probably in one step later this year. But I think it's a good thing, and we want you to be comfortable with it, to understand it. So I'm gonna send everybody an article, and I'll have that in the packet next, at the next meeting. And Lance and Steve will be here, and hopefully we'll be able to, these will be action item anyway, so.
I do have a question, Jim. Do you know of another area that this has worked really well in? Another city nearby that you could at least look to see what they're doing and how it looks?
I'm not familiar with, just becoming familiar with this concept. I'm a retail and industrial and office guy historically. So I don't know any place that's local that does this. Your home occupation thing actually is pretty far along. A lot of communities don't allow that, which is great for all of these units. But I'm not entirely sure. One comment, he's not here to say it again tonight, but when we had our staff meeting on this, Lance said, I don't have a chance, he's a big advocate of this, I don't have a chance to advocate this if you zone it R3 or whatever it was going to be before, because that's not allowed there. If it's C2T, he'll be all right here on trying to make this work in a fashion. Again, it looks like 110 townhomes. The difference, somebody rightly said, there might be another door there. That is it. I mean, from the outside and the sign. That's really about it. And we haven't answered in our own minds questions of whether you can lease it out to somebody else if you grow your space. I don't know.
I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I see that being a major selling point.
And I think you want to be careful with minimum and maximums, because we don't know what the market's going to be. And you can make them all built to look that way, but we can't guarantee occupancy, right? When people buy them and can just live there, or you can have people live, work there. So I think you want the flexibility, so I'll have to talk to Lance more about that. But we definitely thought these interior corridors with the main drag and everything make a lot of sense. And like somebody said, I don't think you're going to put one that's got a commercial on the far right corner. But those are good questions.
So I see it being infinitely more appealing if I use it for my home office and then say, you know what, I do need more space, but now do I have to move because I've got this space that I'm paying for in my mortgage that I no longer need, or can I turn and say, here's another small business, he's working out of his attic, I can offer this. And Darren, maybe you don't want to work out of your house anymore.
Does it need to be owner occupied?
So basically here is, so so when he comes back a different time with his preliminary and/or final, okay? What you're asking here is if there's gonna be a sublease option.
If the C2T allows for.
I think it does, I'm not sure.
Well,
You're kind of talking about.
we're talking about like a home,
owner
like a
occupied,
boarding.
yeah.
So you you really can't rent a room in R3, like renting a room for occupancy, like residential use, but this is unique because it's commercial.
I think the zoning allows it.
If there is a special use that may provide for C2T, since it's more flexible, that could be the route that it goes to allow that. And obviously, it would be up to the restriction, but of course, we could encourage the restriction to allow that, if that's what is
You
encouraged.
got like 10 people in an office, you all occupy that first floor, and then you just come out in the front yard and have your meetings.
Give something back, and might want to have an office sometime.
Yeah, I think as the discussion evolved tonight, a lot of questions came up. Any questions that you come up with, why don't you forward it to Ben? He can kind of compile a list of concerns. You can talk to Lance and you can talk to Jim, and this way, the next time we get together on this, some of those questions may be already answered or
Yeah, we have a
clarified.
month, and then we'll email everyone these articles that had some examples from North Carolina and saying, and Susan, it's a great question, I'm not sure, do they have these in Burr Ridge, do they have them in Old Brook? There's probably some out there, I'm just not sure, we'll look for those.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
So we'll have this on as action at the next agenda.
Yep, everybody
Son,
okay
this
with
is kind of the
moving
same
to an
thing.
action item on
CD1 and
July 17th?
AT1,
Yeah.
do you want to say anything else?
Yeah,
on
so
it?
the AT1 is the companion piece, which is the Second Amendment to the annexation agreement. The original annexation agreement calls for the whole development to be C3, so we do need to amend the annexation agreement to allow that. Provision of the annexation agreement, as I stated earlier, does contain, the reverter, in which if the developer does not, come back with the final development plan that is in substantial compliance with the proposal as presented by the city council, the zoning goes back to C3, and the owner waives any objection to that rezoning. So that will ensure that there's no switcheroo, if that's a concern. So they have within 1 year from the recording of the Second Amendment to the annexation agreement to do that, and the recording should occur no later than 90 days after approval. And this would be set for a public hearing on July 17th, and he will publish the notification in the paper, and both of these items will be presented as action items on July 17th.
Okay, is everybody okay with that?
Is it going to be, we can have one public hearing for AT1?
Yes, one public hearing. The zoning, the actual public hearing was before the Planning and Zoning Commission. So the public hearing will be for the Second Amendment to the annexation agreement, and then following that will be the action item for the rezoning.
Can I raise one point on that, on the annexation agreement? Our attorney raised it, and I believe this is correct, so Ben can correct me, somebody, or Sonny can correct me, but I think C3 now allows commercial, residential use on top of commercial. If that's true.
Yes, so I think what the developer is stating is that the current C3 allows for that to occur, the home occupancy, but the problem is when the original annexation agreement was passed, it didn't. So the original C3, when the original annexation agreement was passed, did not allow that.
So the question
Yeah.
is, should that, if the mayor was there right now, he'd say, I want vertical mixed use and have residential on top. So I don't know if it can be changed, or, my attorney said, say in section 2 there, the prohibition on residential in commercial would prohibit it. Maybe it's prohibited anyway, but as long as you're changing the annexation agreement.
Yeah, there was, I'm going to just read a brief thing from an email that I was trying to remember. The thinking on commercial over residential is that you couldn't build a townhome without commercial on the first floor in C3. So meaning all 110 units would not be allowed to have residential use on the first floor.
We aren't talking about townhomes. We're talking about the commercial on 20A. Go back here.
Yeah, I think, so the original annexation agreement contained a prohibition on dwelling units and residential home occupancy. There was a purpose for that restriction. The developer and the Developers Council wants to eliminate, they're requesting that the home occupancy and the residential prohibition to the rest of the development be removed. So therefore, allowing residential development throughout the whole entire development. I don't think that's was the original intent of the annexation agreement. That's opening up the floodgate to the rest of the development. So, you know, my advice is not to do that. You know, we're opening up the floodgates, and that's not the purview of what the Second Amendment should be. So,
Just to clarify, not talking residential and commercial, talking about residential above the commercial, vertical mixed use in undeveloped commercial lots like 28, which I'm only saying it for the mayor because that's what he's been harping, do it, and there's no way to do it under the current annexation.
Right, that's why you need to see,
That's
that's why
why-
we're changing the zoning, right.
And we're changing the annexation agreement. Our attorney raised it because it looked like it prohibits it, and it looks like it may prohibit it anyway, but that's just a thought.
Yeah, so we'll get, I mean,
This won't be for the whole complex, this will be just for a few of the townhomes, correct?
This has nothing to do with
Unknown.
townhomes. This has to do with C3 zoning elsewhere, which is everywhere but the townhomes.
We want to keep C3 zoning elsewhere, but where it says Lot 15D, which is the subject of what we've been talking about for the past whatever, is to rezone that to C2T. Future Lot 20A, 21A, and existing 15B, that's all going to remain C3.
Mayor would love residential above commercial on 28.
So my question is.
If it stays C3.
So my question is lot 15D, if we're changing the zoning, then it applies to all the units, correct?
Just 15D.
15D is going to have multiple,
Answer your question, Joanne, yes.
Yes,
The whole
yes.
parcel will be
Yep.
zoned.
Yes, it's going to change.
so
Right, but-
any of these units can still have that possibility of
they can
having-
still be residential, or they can have a business on the first floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the whole section of lot 15D.
Correct.
Okay.
These will both be action
Talk to me
items
after
at the
this.
next meeting. We will have an internal staff meeting. We will also have a conference call with Jim, and we will also email you all and try to have some of these questions answered for you.
Okay? Good discussion, thank you. Okay, those will be moved to action item on to July 17th. All right, PW1.
This one is for the approval of resolution 24-071. This is a proposal from Civil Engineering for the intersection design study at Illinois Route 7 and Illinois Route 171. So basically 9 in the state. We're looking at, we're just trying to open up the doors on my communications that I got. Configuration, relocation of some traffic signals that allow for better truck turning movement through downtown that seem to continue to either hit the landscaping, that kind of stuff we have out there, or even some of the traffic signals that have been built over the last few years since the modifications in 2017. So we're basically just kind of open it back up, right? Talk to IDOT and see what they will allow us. Try to.
Okay.
I love to see ideas. We've looked at this intersection many times over the years with IDOT and geometry, and it doesn't work for trucks. I mean, the best solution is get the trucks off the intersection, but they won't do that. So to relook at some of the geometry and maybe moving in a mast arm or something, it might free up a few more feet, maybe some curb cuts. I'd be hesitant if they want to remove the on-street parking and things or planters, but we won't know what they would say until we engage them, so we need to talk to them. It's worth exploring.
It's also a weapon that if we find out that there is a problem, I mean, maybe eventually we could go back and say, the trucks on the east-west can only go east-west,
Yeah.
and hopefully north-south. Maybe we can go to IDOT and finally make this a no-turn, or at least shrink the size of the trucks that can turn right or left. So I think it's worth it. I think it's a good idea. I think we might end up just banging our heads against IDOT, but we'll see what happens. But I think it's worth at least a study.
I mean, I think I have minutes from meetings with them from years ago, and they admitted the geometry doesn't work, but it's their intersection, so.
Well, to JR's point, though, if they're constantly doing destruction, making the turn, you know, enforce smaller trucks. You can't push a 40-foot tractor trailer and make a right-hand turn.
Yeah.
So,
It's like pushing a wall. Yeah, we'll see. We'll explore.
okay, so we're good to put that on the action? Or
Consent.
Oh, consent, okay, yeah, all right. So I'll go to the second, okay? All right, any new business? We asked that before, and anybody come up with anything? Okay. No open floor comments? Okay, having heard none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Joanne
Second.
and Christina.
No?
She sounds so much like her. All in favor, signify by saying A.
Hey.
B.
In my book, that's A.
Oh, is there?
All right, the ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Pat.